Today we mow. I have been out of commission for 2 weeks due to COVID that I thought I was immune to because I hadn't had it yet. And apparently I'm not immune to it because I got it. Now this yard has paid the ultimate price. Let's see. Had my son mow it one day, but we haven't weed eated it. It's pretty bad. The fence over there is kind of messed up because my neighbor is putting in a pool. But you can see these pick patches. I mean, there was grass, and you can still see it over here. I mean, waist high out here. And I like keeping a nice yard. Look at this. See how tall that is? So yeah, that's going to make a pile. So today we mow. Today we'll mow. Really can't say I love sucking in all this grass right now with the respiratory stuff, but you gotta get it done. But it's nice getting a little sweat going. All right, we're almost done. I can still breathe. We're doing all right. I was thinking about the one of my favorite scriptures in Exodus 3, when Moses, it's a burning bush, one of the most probably well-known stories, but I love that story. I actually have a tattoo about it, of the burning bush. But what I love about that story is it says Moses was out here, in the dark. There's a bush that's on fire. The bush isn't being consumed. There's all these supernatural things happening, but even the natural, even if it's just a bush was on fire and it was being consumed, it's in the middle of the night. I mean, you got to think, like, they didn't have electricity back then. And Moses just laying there. And then there's this scripture, Exodus 3, 2, or Exodus 3 or something. And it says, and then Moses turned to look at the bush. It's like there's a miracle going on. And it's almost like he didn't even notice it. The way I interpret it, he wasn't even aware of what was going on until he decided and made a choice to turn and investigate this miracle that was in front of him. And I just love that, because it just reminds me of all the supernatural, amazing things that are going on around us at all times. Just the fact that we're alive and breathing, our lungs are filling up with air, our heart's pumping, our brain's shooting electrical pulses all over our bodies. Just the fact that we're alive alone is a burning bush supernatural scenario. Moses, went on and freed the slaves and everything, and the Israelites, and they ended up roaming around the desert for 40 years because they were complainers, for the opposite reason of what Moses did right there at the beginning. Moses chose to look at the miracle in front of him, and the Israelites chose to look at what they didn't have in front of them. They had seen plagues that God had sent, frogs, all these things. They had the parting of the Red Sea. They walked through the parting of the Red Sea and then watched the army that was in pursuit of them drowned right after them, and yet they were still complaining and complaining and making false idols and making these golden calves that they would worship. Instead of worshiping God, you have free will and you have a choice, and you have a choice on what you're going to turn and look to turn and notice, to turn and appreciate. Moses turned to look at the miracle that was before him and investigated it and realized this bush isn't even burning up. It's on fire, it's not even burning up. And the Israelites chose to complain and go, oh, it was better when we were in captivity. Instead of looking at all these things, God was providing a pillar of fire at night so they could see, shade during the day. They were hungry. He was giving them manna that was like a honey, like a crispy honey, like graham cracker pretty much, that they could eat every morning. Then they were complaining that they weren't getting enough protein, which I can understand. And then he sends all these quail, so many at night that they could just grab them midair and they could eat all the quail that they wanted. If they kept focusing on what they didn't have and what God wasn't doing as opposed to what God was doing. And they roamed around, never made it into the promised land. And then he turned to look at the miracle in front of him. I want to choose to see all the miracles in my life. Got so many of them. So many of them. Just to get to maintain my home is a miracle. It's not the best it's ever looked, but it's better than it did. I think I'll try to work out tomorrow, do some meal prepping this week, try to get everything back to normal. Which, I don't even want to go back to normal. I think it's a miracle that COVID took me down for just a little bit, and I'm respecting it. And I feel like God's kind of showing me that I was doing too much anyway. I think my body wasn't recovering. Plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis feels a lot better. I'm able to walk without pain for the most part. I don't have all the pain and everything that I had. I feel like I'm processing food a lot better. My stress level's been a lot lower. So I want to take that and build on top of it, as opposed to just trying to get right back where I was. I mean, it's all a blessing from God. It's always a blessing from God. Always. Always. The dishes are done, man.